Hello and welcome to another episode of Bodyslams and Dropkicks. I'm joined this week yet again by my co-host, the Nottingham Bruiser, the Red Band Pro Wrestling Intercontinental Champion, Dean.
My public, thank you very much, and thanks for the intro. You want to be careful. Rhino will be ditching my services for yours.
Maybe. Of course, I always butcher your last name, so
Well, to be fair, nobody can really say it or spell it, so you're all right.
I always call you Conelli.
That's worse. To be honest with you, that's not the worst name I've ever been called. Right then, so, shall we do the news?
Yep. We take you to the news this week.
We start off on a bit of a sad note, actually. Tegan Knox has torn her ACL. I think it's for the second time, I believe. But poor lass isn't having any luck, is she?
No, really, and she's really good talent too.
Yeah. She's going through the Chris Sabin phase of basically tearing every single ACL she has.
Yeah, I remember Sabin just came back, and bam, first match back, he tore the other one.
But apparently she's had successful surgery on it, so we're not sure when we'll be back, but I would probably have a guess of next year. And Tegan, from us both, we wish you nothing but a speedy recovery, and we hope you're in the ring soon. Now, though, I'm actually quite excited because Retribution is sort of getting a bit better. The WWE might be not doing so well with them on Raw, but we've got names for them. This was actually supposed to be last week, but we got occupied with Tyson Dukes. So there's Slapjack, T-Bar, Mace, Reckoning. I'm not quite sure what the other one is because I haven't found it on Twitter, but I will say one thing. T-Bar is the best guy that you would have on Twitter. He has absolutely gone after Chris Jericho. He's gone after Eric Bischoff. He even went after David Arquette about 3 days ago. And just literally every single comeback he has, it's just like the biggest burn you've ever seen in your life. It's kind of like, how can this man do his next burn as big as better than his last one? Because I think Eric Bischoff basically saying, I think he did a segment on why Retribution is basically being handled wrong or something like that. And T-Bar went on Twitter. It's not the actual what he said, but he actually said something like, "So if we want to run $1 billion company into the ground, we know where to go." And I even mailed me back on Twitter as well when I basically said they know how to win a Twitter war. He mailed back because I basically took the piss out of the names a little bit because they're not exactly great names, are they? Let's be honest.
No, it's like the old days of like Crowbar, and Puke,
Daphne, yeah. But he did actually say that apparently there was actually a wrestler called Meat, and I did actually say on the next one, I don't mean to take the piss or anything, but was a head in there anywhere? Yeah, didn't hear anything back about that, to be honest. But there were still people liking it, retweeting it about 4 days after the original tweet from him went up.
Yeah, you can tell like that people love Twitter wars. Remember when Wendy's was like dissing that one dude and it just blew up?
Yeah,
because the guy forgot the word refrigerator.
Oh God, I sort of remember that, but there's always a Twitter war. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, as we've just previously discussed on Final Cut, they have the best wars ever. Yeah. Literally, if you put T-Bar and Ryan Reynolds in a ring together and have a Twitter war, I don't actually know who would win.
I think it'd be Ryan Reynolds. Like, I think he would show up dressed as Deadpool and he'd take it like too far.
Yeah, but T-Bar does hold his own. I will grant him that.
Yeah.
I sort of know who, I don't know if Fraser might know this. I think we have discussed it. We sort of know who some of them are, but we don't know who all of them are. And we're not going to say who they are just in case somebody doesn't actually know, but we will discuss Retribution's real life wrestlers at one point about who we think they are, but that's not today. So we'll move on. In fact, it's been a couple of anniversaries in the last couple of weeks, hasn't it? Because Bobby Lashley's WWE debut was about 15 years ago. He actually tweeted, he said 15 down and I'm not even close to done yet. A lot of hurt left to be dished out. Chris Jericho's wrestling debut was, I think it was 30 years ago. Is it this week where he's having a celebration on Dynamite?
I think it's this week, and then
Yeah.
Lance Storm's 30th anniversary was on Friday.
So yeah, a lot of people having a lot of anniversaries. But to be fair, I actually say it like that, but the fact is, I don't think pro wrestling would be if we didn't have the Storms, the Jerichos, the Lashleys, the Takers, or the Kanes, or even Rey Mysterio.
Well,
But
since
yeah,
we're talking wrestling, it looks like on IMDb, some info for Stephen Amell's latest show, Heels, has been revealed.
ooh,
So,
curious.
yep.
Make my jaw drop.
So, the premise they have listed so far is two brothers and rivals, one a villain or heel in the ring, the other a hero or face, war over their late father's wrestling promotion, vying for national attention, small town Georgia. And Stephen Amell plays Jack Spade, and Alexander Ludwig plays Ace Spade, and it looks like it will be about 8 episodes.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I didn't realise you were on about Stephen Amell because I did actually know about that. I just had no idea what it was about. Do we know any wrestlers of any sort that are in it? I'm assuming it would be like AEW because that's where obviously Cody is from, and him and Stephen are quite pally.
I think on Twitter they put out an ad for some wrestlers, and you've seen a few names like retweeting it and stuff. But so far they haven't given much away. They just listed like the main cast.
Yeah.
So my guess is like whenever they jump into the ring or something, we're probably gonna see like cameos galore. I
That'll be carry
I
on.
would love to see Christopher Daniels, just like that little like Easter egg because they threw down
Yeah.
at a pay-per-view.
I'd love to see a BME, to be honest. Whether it be either Daniels doing it or somebody doing it in that, I would just love that. There's actually a MMA style film coming out with the Moxley. I can't remember what it's called, but I did see the trailer for it in the last week. It looks bloody brilliant. I'll have to find out the name for it and let everyone know next week. But I will find it. Now this was a bit of a shock when I woke up on this day. Ken Shamrock has been inducted into. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but Ken Shamrock's been inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame. Now, usually, as every wrestling fan knows, people are asked to induct them. I mean, who did? I'm just trying to think of examples. So, like Undertaker could have say Kane. Triple H will more than likely have say Stephanie induct him when he eventually goes in. But Moxley's movie's called Cage Fighter. That's it. Thanks, mate. But yeah, Ken Shamrock has actually nominated a very certain person to induct him, and that person is Dwayne Johnson, which I was quite shocked at.
I think we all are because like I never thought out of everyone The Rock would. Of course, Impact did at one point. I heard got told they could use any WB guy, and at the time they chose Christian. So this is huge with The Rock.
Yeah, I think if I've read this right, doing research quickly. He says, I believe their feud was a launching pad for Ken Shamrock's career. Shamrock actually tweeted to Dwayne, I believe my time with you was my greatest memories in wrestling. And Dwayne has already agreed to do it. And I think he's sending a video to Impact. So I think we said this when we first found this out. I think it would be a case, or I said it to someone about it. I think it'll basically be Impact's highest ratings they've ever had, simply because Dwayne Johnson will actually be on screen for a minute.
Yep, it's probably going to be the most viewed video, which will be pretty epic. And it's kind of fitting because The Rock is probably the most electrifying man in WWE history. Like when people look back on like everything, it's always The Rock. And Impact, their first ever world champion was Ken Shamrock. So this is pretty fitting.
Yeah, Heath Slater has revealed that many current WWE superstars are interested in coming to Impact, but obviously they can't come now, so it'll be when the contract runs out. I mean, to be honest with you, I think everyone wants to literally leave. Those who aren't, like, say, in a Roman Reigns position or a Fiend position, or maybe even a Sasha or a Bayley position, would want to get out. I mean, however many wrestlers they fired on Black Wednesday, they're thriving elsewhere. I mean, Miro Ala Rusev is now in AEW and he's doing quite well when he's not getting injured. the Good Brothers are doing well in Impact.
Hawkins is doing well in Impact.
Yep. So it's just a case of when we find out who exactly it is who's coming over. But apparently one of them is a former world champion, so that could possibly be very big. So I'm just going to scroll down now, because if I do this WWE talent, basically taking Twitch cameo and all that lot off, I'll be going at this all day, and I really don't want to go through it because it just annoys me. Right. Apparently, speaking of Good Brothers, apparently Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are trying to get AJ Styles back in Impact, because apparently Carl has been, I think it's Carl Anderson has been quoted as they literally phone him every day to get him back into Impact. And I know AJ said he wanted to finish his career in WWE, but how can you not say no to one last hurrah in Impact?
Honestly, I would love to see all the Impact originals come back. Like, remember when Hardy and Shannon, all of them were debuting, and it was just like chaos? I would love a full episode where it's nothing but like huge comebacks. You see like the current champs in the ring, and then bam, AJ's music hits. You see like Samoa Joe show up, Daniels and Kazarian leap the guardrail.
Saying that, James Storm is actually a free agent now, I believe.
I heard he was supposed to go back to WWE, but COVID held everything up.
Yeah. I think James Storm's too good for WWE anyway. They'll just literally tone his character down to know who he is.
Well, I would love if Bobby and him reformed Beer Money. It would be pretty epic.
Oh yeah, one good thing about me watching Impact all these years, I finally got to watch Beer Money live, and actually do the old Beer Money, what we used to do when Storm used to shout beer and Rude used to shout money. That was the highlight of my Impact life, and I kid you not. That even beats when in London one year when Austin Aries and Bobby Roode tried to outdo each other by faking chair shots. I think we actually discussed this with Simon, whereas we actually discussed it, and it was actually the funniest thing ever. But now, saying Beer Money is definitely the highlight of my Impact watching years. Even Kurt Angle beating Bobby Lashley at London is not better than that.
It's still really funny too, because for the longest time, Bobby Roode held 2 records in Impact. He was the longest reigning
world
tag team champion and world champion.
Yeah, because he actually, funny enough, he actually won that off James Storm before he lost it to Austin Aries at Destination X that next year. Now I have actually discussed this next part with you. Rumor has it, Undisputed Era might be splitting up because there are plans. There's plans to turn Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole face and keep Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish heel. So it's a bit of an iffy subject, really, because you can't really have 2 heels and 2 faces in the same stable, but you can't split up Undisputed Era up either. So I guess the real question is, what's going to happen, or what could happen? I can't see a stable like that working. It just wouldn't work.
Well, I think they're going to have it implode on itself, but Bobby and Kyle should always be together, because as Red Dragon, they were a great tag team, ROH tag champs. They were the IWGP tag team champions. Like they do great work together. And then Future Shock was Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. But I could see Roddy and Adam imploding on each other, because we've seen it here and there. But I think they should keep them together and just move them up in the roster, because we need more solid tag teams to start coming out. You could have Cole Chase like the IC, and you could have Roddy like backing him, bringing that tension between them, because Roddy made his debut way back when Kurt was doing the open challenges, and it'd be interesting if Kurt Angle comes back at some point and Roddy and him like clash heads.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love, you could say Undisputed Era is the next evolution, but that's kind of like the whole basketball argument 20 years ago when Kobe Bryant could be the next Michael Jordan, but then again, there's only one evolution, and there will never be another Michael Jordan. So I actually think if that is the case with this, I think it will, like I said, it will implode on itself. Just not sure how yet. There is one last bit of news before we do our topic this week. Apparently, and by the way, I will say this: take everything we say with a pinch of salt because we've done our research, but things might happen that completely debunk it. NXT and 205 Live are moving to the Performance Center full time, starting with NXT Takeover tonight. So rumor had it they wanted NXT to complete size-wise with AEW because AEW does their shows in like outside stadiums. I don't know exactly which stadium it is, but apparently the actual reason at this point is unclear. But I seem to remember Triple H saying a while ago he had no plans to move it from Full Sail University, which I actually think would be a bit of a shame if they do move it because NXT made its name in Full Sail University. And yes, it doesn't quite draw the crowds that Dynamite does, but at the same time, that's its bread and butter. That's where it's been born. That's where it's been nourished. That's where it's evolved. So me personally, 205 Live can move, to be honest, but I don't think NXT should.
You know, it'd be interesting if they do move locations, if they get like a bit of a bigger arena and work a few more crowds. I also would like if they would do more battles. Like 205 really needs like a kick in the pants to get going.
Yeah.
So I could see them clashing with NXT and NXT UK getting in on that and it becoming like this three-way battle for all their developmental talent.
To be fair, we actually had I was going to say we had an NXT versus NXT UK war last year, didn't we? Or earlier on this year.
We need something bigger this year. So instead of the 205 guys, because half the time, like 205 just gets treated like it's the warm up for the crowd.
Yeah, it's kind of like what was that? Oh yeah, it was like Sunday Night Heat and Velocity, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's the way 205 is being treated. Like I couldn't even remember at first who the cruiserweight champ is, like since Neville really and Amore and stuff. Like I feel like the cruiserweight title needs to get some major focus back on it. Insert it, have the three-way champ clash and stuff. Showcase the 205, the NXT guys, the NXT UK guys.
Yeah,
because Walter's just slaying it right now in NXT UK.
Has he been champion for about a year?
I think it's been a bit longer than that. And like all the guys who have as champs right now could give like one heck of a show if you give them all of them into the ring together and even like tag champs and stuff. Because I feel like I haven't seen major focus really on the NXT title like on the main roster since like Cole had the belt and Kevin Owens took on John Cena.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think they would have done a lot with Karrion Kross if he was fit, if he was actually fighting fit, but he's out. Although I will say one thing about Karrion Kross, he has tweeted recently, and he said regarding NXT this weekend, I will be watching, or him and Lady Scarlett will be watching. So I don't think will he actually be cleared from injury this soon? It seems a bit too soon.
Well, some guys come back from injury early and it kicks them in the butt in the long run. Like, take John Cena, like he's been out for a while now recovering and having to do other projects.
Yeah. Saying that, he came back about 3 months earlier than planned for the Royal Rumble one year, didn't he? Because nobody expected him back.
Or even when, remember when Batista took him out at SummerSlam, that Batista bomb in the corner? And Cena showed up a lot earlier than he was supposed to be. And like in the long, like it used to be tradition back in the day, where if you were hurt and you were and you had a title match coming up, you would win the belt and then you would tell management you're hurt.
Yeah,
and that's what Jericho and them would do. And Fandango really should have. He was up to win the IC title, and he really should have just won the belt first and then told them because he hasn't been able to hit that point. But I love that Breezango are the NXT tag champs currently because their skits as the Fashion Police were just so good.
They were actually. I actually enjoyed them. You could say NXT is kind of like a second chance saloon because I mean, Finn Balor he did all right on the main roster, but he's not really done that. He didn't really do that much since he lost the IC title, and he's now NXT champion. I mean, Breezango they did the fair bit, like we just said, Fashion Police, but at the same time, aside from that, they didn't really do much. They've both gone down there. They've sort of rejuvenated their careers. So hopefully this will be, hopefully it will keep on going for them.
But 205 really needs to do something because at this point, it's just a bunch of guys collecting a check And the cruiserweight belt hasn't had real focus in a while. Like I didn't even know who the champ was. Like that's how long it's been since I've been focusing on 205. So
Yeah,
they need to do something to like get themselves back on the map fast, or they might as well just ditch the belt again.
might as well do something. I was going to end it there, but I just remembered something a few weeks ago. We all every WWE fan knows about the Thunderdome. I mean, some of us don't mind it. I'm not. I won't say I'm the biggest fan of it, but I do see the appeal of it because obviously the NBA is doing it. I think baseball's doing it. I think I'm not entirely sure, but rumor has it the contract with the Amway Center in Orlando, where Orlando Magic play, is coming to a close soon, and apparently WWE higher ups have basically told talent to prepare for travel. But as I understand this, Amway has received like $500,000 just from hosting the Thunderdome. So if I was the higher ups at Amway, I would carry it on simply because if this goes on for another year, they could have banked $1.5 million in rent from WWE alone. But is it really? Is it worth traveling? No, it's not. You don't want to go back to PC. Traveling's too risky, even now. I just basically go to the higher ups at Amway Theatre and say, right, we want to stay for as long as COVID hits, so we'll pay whatever rent we need to pay, and then that'll be it.
That's pretty much it. Like everyone's pretty much raking it in just by keeping them in the arenas.
But yeah, but that's really the only. I mean, obviously, somebody who's listening might have another option that we don't know about, but there's not really that many options anyway. They've got something that works. Don't do what you always do, which is do something different and cock it up. Because I mean, a lot of people might not know this, but one of the rumors for the Carter family screwing up TNA was because they ditched Universal Studios in Orlando and they went on the road to compete with WWE. But the only problem was that took up so much money, it literally led them to bankruptcy. Then when they decided to go back to Orlando, they couldn't because somebody else had took over where they went. So I really hope WWE stays where it is. I don't want them to leave because if they leave, it'll be back to the PC, and not everyone's been loving the shows there.
Well, I heard with Impact too, like when they lost their Spike deal, it's because Dixie was told like they didn't want Vince Russo, and she accidentally sent like an email for him to the Spike execs, and then that cost them that one.
Yeah. But TNA/Impact made a lot of bad decisions when the Carter family was in charge. But Impact is still here. They're making inroads. And just finally, Fraze, we did our second press pass this week. And I must admit, my first week, I was properly shitting myself. Every time, because nobody knows quite how this works. But basically, you have a screen, like a computer screen, like we have in front of us. You'll watch it in a little window. There'll be a raise your hand. It's kind of like in when you went to school and they said raise your hand if you know the answer. You just raise it up like that. Then obviously when you want to ask a question, just click on it and then wait for everyone to answer. But I tell you something, the waiting is absolutely it's so bad sometimes. And I actually will apologise. I'm not sure who it is, but the first week I accidentally nabbed someone's question because he had the same as mine. So I'm not quite sure who it is, but I do apologise for that if he's listening. But yeah, second week was with Tennille Dashwood, and I actually like her as a heel. She's actually played it up very well.
She's gifted as a heel.
She
like
is.
I always liked when she would get on the screen, like when she switched from Emma to Tennille, like the gear change, the hair color change, the stylistic stuff, the shades, like those little details made a big difference. And when she was getting on a roll, it sucked that she got injured.
Yeah.
Because like she was getting huge momentum, and now look at her, like she's dropping Jordan Grace and getting all eyes on her, and she was owning people during the press pass.
You know
like
how I was just yeah. I was about to say what I said earlier about T-Bar owning people on Twitter. Well, she literally owned a lot of people on Press Pass, but thankfully, and Fraser will back me up on this, I was not one of them. I was actually I was one of the about 3 or 4 that she did like.
Yeah.
I even came up with the saying, Hell hath no fury like a Tennille scorned. She actually liked that as well. So yeah, I'd say press pass is going very well for us, but obviously we don't know who we're expecting this week. But I do hope it's someone good. It's supposed to be a tag team this week, so
It would be good. They have so many good teams that like
yeah.
anyone will be like fantastic.
Yeah. If it's Motor City Machine Guns, I will officially be dropped and he will be asking. If it's the Good Brothers, I wouldn't mind asking it because there's just so much that we could ask. But yeah, I think we should end it on there just in case we're going over territory we shouldn't. So Simon, we love you, mate. We're just so excited. Right, so what's the topic this week, Phrase?
All right. Now we've been seeing pretty much practically all the same match types over and over again over the years. Like Hell in the Cell has been done to a gimmicking point that it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Like back compared to the days of like Undertaker and Mankind and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like
Walls and Inferno matches, yeah.
the Hell in the Cell has lost its luster. And there's so many match types that haven't even come back now. And like I feel like we almost get a ladder match like almost every other pay-per-view. Yeah. So I'd like to discuss matches we haven't really gotten anymore. Like we like the ambulance match. We got an ambulance match finally after like how long? Like I can't even remember. Like
was it the last one Shane versus Kane?
I thought the last one had like Ryback and someone, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna say I didn't really watch WWE around Ryback's time, but I do remember there being a Shane versus Kane one. I think it was a couple of months after Kane got rid of a mask. So, but yeah, ambulance match hasn't really been used that much. TLC literally is there a pay-per-view still? But when they go for that many pay-per-views, it's just unbelievable. But yeah,
I think the last ambulance match was 2013 Cena versus Ryback for the WWE title, if I recall correctly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Do I like Hell in a Cell? Yes. Is it revolutionary? Yes. Was the early ones like really not so much really bad, but they were bad. But they sort of had a suspense and tension about them. I mean, if anyone has watched Bad Blood 1997 and King of the Ring 1998, they will know exactly what I'm going on about. But it's kind of like I'm just going to try and use a movie analogy here if I can. It's kind of like watching a horror movie and you can see from bits and bobs that it's fake. It's kind of like, I'm just trying to think of an example. It's kind of like Insidious, because I don't know if anyone's actually watched Insidious, but the horror movie is great up until a certain point where the demon of the piece is running up the side of a wall, and you know instantly it's CGI. So that is kind of like an analogy for Hell in the Cell. It was good while it was going, but then when you know something is diluting and not really that great anymore, it kind of kills it. Me personally, I think we should stick to what we did in the 90s and early 2000s. Just have like say normal pay-per-views like say Payback or WrestleMania Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, like No Way Out, Battleground even. If they had basically just did pay-per-views like that, and then just literally decided, right, we're going to have a Hell in a Cell match out here, then that would be all fine. But I think the thing is, it's like Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. It's just not that great. And no offense, but if you put something as an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, then the whole thing should be Elimination Chamber matches, not just like 2 or 3, because it just ruins it.
They overkill a lot. There's so many match types that haven't been used in a while, like the Boiler Room match, parking lot brawl. Like I remember feuds used to get personal, like when JBL and Cena went at it, and JBL like threw Cena in the one in the cars, set it on fire. Like
Texas Bull Rope matches.
Texas Bull Rope matches were pretty good. They haven't done so many.
Kurt Angle with a glass of milk.
I like even a dumpster match, like Otis with Miz versus Miz and Morrison. Like I could totally see like them bringing a dumpster and Miz telling them like he's gonna take out the trash, and Otis throwing them in.
Yeah, table matches and like when was the last time we had a glass tables match?
I don't think we've had that in a while.
That's what we need. We need we need a Bully Ray in a glass tables match.
Like when he threw Christian through it in Impact.
I think, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't we use glass tables a fair bit in Impact? I know we've not used it in a while, but WWE wouldn't even dare go with that. It's like, why can't we have a glass tables match, which basically is a table made of glass? So it's basically a case of I am not going through that. It's absolutely broken shard glass, but I think like Ring of Honor or Impact or maybe even AEW would use it, but I think WWE is going back to its attitude style era, but I think a glass tables match would be too much. I would love.
I would love to see a return of the Punjabi prison match, like when Batista battled Khali.
God no.
No, not like them escaping, but like that being personal, like locked in there. If they took a no way out thing, where like ROH hybrid rules, like trying to knock the other guy out and stuff.
Yeah, I just found that I know I hate that Punjabi prison match because it is so stupid. I see the appeal of it. It's just a case of I don't really think they thought everything through when they first decided to do it. It was just like, right, Punjabi prison match. How are we going to do it? Oh, I know. We'll just have like 2 steel cages made of bamboo or whatever it is, and everyone has to climb over it. We'll not bother putting a roof on the top. It's like, no, it doesn't work for me.
Like Impact, the best examples Impact. They had the Asylum match. And it was all the way to the top, and they're battling through. That's probably like the best example of being like locked in, or Full Metal Mayhem.
Lethal Lockdown, I miss.
Lethal Lockdown.
I would love to see that come back.
Like, there's so many matches. Like, actually, I would like to see the return of the casket match as well.
Yeah. I've had an idea about Tuesday's question.
Yeah.
Why don't we have like a comeback of Lethal Lockdown? Because I do miss those ones, I do miss those type of matches.
Man, Lethal Lockdown was so good.
Yeah, you should point out for anyone who's not familiar with it, Lethal Lockdown is like it's a 4v4 inside a variation of a steel cage, where basically everything that you can use as a weapon, like trash cans, kendo sticks, steel chairs, or in Jeff Jarrett's case, a guitar, can be used. You can even get on top of the cage, and you can fight on that, really. But it's not. I don't think it's been used in TNA/Impact for a while, but it was actually great fun for me when I used to watch it, because I always used to enjoy it.
I blame Ready to Rumble, but I like the Tower of Doom, where it's like cages upon cages and stuff.
I actually kind of miss that. I do like the idea for War Games, though, that NXT does.
War Games is really good. It's just, there's so many, we get so many the same matchup. Like, Falls Count Anywhere just seems meaningless now.
No, well, it's like when you have a singles match and they I'll tell you what does annoy me. When they have like a singles match, when something happens. So let's say we have a chair shot, which means said person disqualified. Someone comes out and says, no, it's no DQ. So somebody gets counted out. It's like, no, we're going to redo it again, and we're going to have count out. No count outs. And then we're going to have false count anyway. It's just like, that gets so boring for me. Just, why can't we just say, we're going to have a match and literally anything goes?
The best match that utilized that whole starting again was Edge and Batista. Remember where they're battling out, they're in the ring, and Edge hits that low blow, just escaping, it gets restarted, and Batista just loses because he rolls Edge back in the ring, and they just get the 10.
Yeah.
That's probably the best example of of that happening, where management comes out and they restart it again.
I do like the King of the Mountain match.
King of the Mountain's pretty good.
Yeah, I do actually like that.
I still remember when Christian tried having AJ lay down for him, and AJ got all pissy when he hit the mat, and then he tried doing the same thing to Christian. Christian refused to do it, so AJ went for the roll up, and they were like fighting with each other.
Yeah. I remember the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe screw job as well, when Samoa Joe was in the Nation of Violence. I still think that was Joe's best character, because it suited him so well.
Yeah, Joe, when he got like the war paint and that vest and everything, the Nation of One was really good.
Yeah, that was literally a case of fear personified has come. What other matches are there? I do miss Monsters Ball. I miss Full Metal Mayhem. I do kind of miss
Samoan strap match.
well, basically any strap match for that benefit.
I love that AEW is bringing back the dog collar match.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, Boiler Room Brawl. I miss. I mean, I miss a Hell in a Cell when it was unique. Buried Alive. I miss.
You know, Buried Alive was probably one of the best ones. Like even I Quit matches started to lose their luster. We haven't had like flag matches, but I like the way they did it with Rusev, where it wasn't just like climbing the pole to get the flag.
There wasn't. Didn't Brock Lesnar and Undertaker have a chain match once?
I think they did like way back in the day.
2002, I think it was, because I remember that because that was the last month of Undertaker's Big Evil persona, because he faced it because the day after he got a stipulation where he could pick, if he won, he could pick a match. I think it was against Lesnar and Big Show, and that's basically what led to Survivor Series when it was him versus McMahon, and then he went back into the whole Undertaker with a big trench coat, and the gongs came back.
It was I think it was No Mercy 2003. It was a biker chain match.
Yeah, that's it. It was because it was WrestleMania 20 the next year. That's how I remember, because it was in MSG, I believe, and it was Taker v Kane. What was that What was that one that Taker had with the Dudleys? When wasn't it a cement match where we had Paul Bearer inside a big plexiglass cage, and it actually had cement fall in, and then it drowned Paul Bearer after Taker actually decided that Heyman was right and Paul Bearer was his weakness, and he drowned him in cement.
I think that was the Great American Bash 2004.
Yeah.
See, like they don't do angles like that anymore. Like besides the stuff with the Fiend, like I would love to see them get back to some of that, because like Adam Cole stuff, and I'll keep bringing this up because they did this so well with Pat McAfee. That was great, and like the stuff that led into it. And I want more angles like that. I want it to feel real, that you forget for a split second. Like when Matt Hardy and Edge, like they had so much animosity because of the whole thing with Lita, and him calling him Adam and then breaking like kayfabe, and Matt Hardy like breaking in. Like we don't get that. Triple H kind of did that with Orton, but you could tell it was fake when he showed up at Orton's house, threw him through the window. Like you could tell a lot of that wasn't like legit. Yeah. But I miss the days when they really would push it. Like heck, they had Triple H and Shawn roll up on a tank to WCW and everything. Yeah. Like I miss those days where they're like actually in locations. Like,
yeah, I do.
Because there's so much wrestling is lost. I know, like we have to keep it PG, but there's so much more they can do within those parameters. Like Marvel's the perfect example of that when they have some of their action sequences and stuff going on.
Yeah, the only problem is I think we're beyond the point of an attitude era or ruthless aggression era now. I think times have changed too much because everyone's so sensitive with this, that, and the other. I mean, the reason I stopped watching WWE was simply because they went through that like PG-13 era where you weren't allowed to use chair shots and blood was forbidden for being used. And I just thought to myself, what the hell is going on here? I just couldn't believe it. I thought, this is a company that has literally pushed the envelope, came back from the brink of defeat in the Monday Night Wars, and now they're telling me we can't have blood or steel chair shots.
They had Vince McMahon feud with God. Like,
why don't you just go and fight Billy Connolly? He's the guy who actually sued God. That'd be better than that.
But like they used to do like fun segments. What was I think it was DX. Remember when they got taken to what was it, Hornswoggle's court thing?
Something like that, yeah.
Like I miss the more amusing stuff. Like they have Xavier Woods, and they could incorporate so much video game stuff if it came down into it. Just have like amusing feuds. Like when they had the Hurricane and they had him and Paul Burchill feuding.
Oh yeah.
Like that was really entertaining.
Paul Burchill's a pirate who used to swing it on a massive rope. Yeah, that was actually quite good.
So like I miss days like that. Like they had Eric Young and they had they could have brought back Gregory Helms. And I admit it would have been kind of amusing for them to do like the whole superhero gimmick thing, and then Eric turns on the Hurricane and pulls off like the mask and everything, and then does the whole thing about like he did all this to like break everyone's hearts type thing.
Yeah.
And then they could have led into the whole insanity Eric versus the Hurricane. Like there's so much stuff they could have done.
Yeah. But the only problem is WWE doesn't think about what is. They just say, right, we think this is good for the company. This is good for this and that. We'll go with that. But that's the thing, though. I mean, Otis and Mandy storylines are a complete standstill. I mean, what was the point of sending her to Monday nights and not keep her on SmackDown? I mean, what was the point of it? That romance, as far as I'm concerned, is now dead. Every single bit of momentum they had has gone.
They should have waited until the draft. They should have done like a 6-person tag, had Miz, Maurice, Morrison versus the Viking Raiders and Mandy, and then they could have had like Otis or her gets pinned, and then like we see on the her get drafted somewhere else, and
Yeah.
then like the look on Otis' face, like, or even if they did, where SmackDown usually wins when they do the big battle royal,
Yeah.
and then they could have taken away like his tag team partner and Mandy, and then Otis is left there having like the emotional farewell, dropping to his knees, like sobbing because like he lost everything because he got thrown out or pinned. And then like you see like Morrison and Miz there where they come up and they slap him with the lawsuit papers,
Yeah.
just completely like break his heart kind of thing. And it just they could have put Otis. You could have had Otis as like such an uber face at this point.
Yeah. I know it's not really on topic, but the draft is this Friday. I just realized, I just looked at the date and realized that the first night of the draft on SmackDown's is Friday. So we could really finish off with who we would like to see move out of Raw and SmackDown. But then again, we don't know if it's just Raw, SmackDown, or if NXT's having any picks or not. I think from whatever they're doing with Otis and the Money in the Bank briefcase needs to at least have some clear view, some clear guidance by this draft, because at the minute he's just got it. He's doing nothing with it. He's farting about with it. I would actually like to see Heavy Machinery go to Raw to kind of kickstart that and take on the tag champs of Street Profits, providing it's not in a series of stupid challenges like they did with Viking Raiders.
Well, isn't his Otis partner hurt or something? Somebody was saying.
I thought Tucker was still going. I thought he was all right. It's
I think he is. I've just heard mixed news because, like, how people are. Because he seemed fine the last couple of segments. So
I know Ivar is out with. I can't remember what he's out with, but he's out until at least next year. So it's either Eric or Ivar. I can't remember which one it is. So basically, Viking Raiders might as well just be in Raw Underground until then. But I hope something does go down with Otis and Mandy. Just trying to think. Do we want the Fiend to go back to Monday nights? Because at the minute he's Kevin Owens, but he should be challenged. He's the only one that can really dethrone Roman Reigns as such. Because Roman Reigns, as far as I'm concerned, has the Fiend as a valid challenger, and that's it. I don't really think anybody else on SmackDown is even worthy of a shot. I mean, Jay's actually got his shot, but the fact of the matter is, no way in hell will Jey Uso win that Universal title off Roman Reigns. It's going to be done by someone, whether it be the Fiend, maybe even if they grab like a Randy Orton or maybe even get an AJ Styles to move up and take on the Chief.
With everything going on with Otis, I feel like Tucker's got lost in the fold. Like he's kind of just there.
It's kind of like Otis is a bit on the side. It's kind of like Leon Cutler, really, who I should point out, I'm in a feud with in Red Band Pro Wrestling. It's kind of like that. He's just the one at the back, just doing nothing while everyone else does everything. Yeah, so I do kind of feel his pain.
But they're a good combination. I kind of wish Tucker would get a little more focus in this feud too. It's just like I do worry when tag team happens because like they're supposed to be focused on together, but like Tucker's the well-spoken one, which I really like because he's kind of like the Otis translator, but he just needs a little more than that. Like he fought Dolph and was unsuccessful, so they need to do something with him, like not overshadow Otis, but like get him more involved with the storyline because he'll probably get Otis out of this situation, but just give him more to work with.
He always does, bless him. But I think the problem is WWE's kind of like at a standstill with its shows. I mean, we don't count NXT in that because NXT is sorted by the game, so he knows exactly what's going on. He wants it as a clear vision, and I still think NXT is the best show on WWE TV at the minute. The problem is, I think Raw and SmackDown need some clear direction because, I mean, no offense, but we're going into basically what Orton and McIntyre. Was it 4 now?
Yeah.
We don't need that. We really don't need that. I mean, who else is there on Raw to challenge McIntyre? There's not really anyone, is there?
I kind of would like to see Otis step up. I know he wouldn't win, but it would help get more eyes on him.
I would actually like to do the old Brother of Destruction gimmick, which is basically win the title one night and pay-per-view, say, and lose it the next night on Monday Night Raw. Because people might not know this, but that actually happened with Kane's first title reign. He won it at King of the Ring 98 and he lost it on the next night to Steve Austin. Taker's first time as champion, he won it at Survivor Series 91. I believe it was either the next night or the night after Hulk Hogan got it back. So yeah, if they could actually do something like that, and then they could use the whole he was a champion for one day, he's a paper champion, he needs to prove himself again. They could build that up and sort of make it into a storyline where he needs to prove himself. He's won the world title. He needs to prove that wasn't a fluke. He won it.
It would be pretty good because, like, with Miz and Morrison there too, like, I feel like the tantrum the Miz would pull and Morrison, like, remember when Bryan Danielson got screwed by Triple H because, like, the referee said something and he's like, "Wait, he just said he's on to us," and they stripped him of the belt.
Yeah.
I could see Miz and Morrison getting involved, like, where they think he's gonna win, and they do something that costs Drew the belt, and then the decision gets reversed because they're interference. But Drew's also having some booking issues because when he fought, and keep in mind, I love Drew McIntyre before I say this.
Right.
All right, so Shawn and them showed up and helped him win, and they're doing the whole we even the odds, but it was and Wrestling Regret even said this, like, it was a one-on-one match. So, like, if Triple H and Batista or somebody ran out, I could understand, but, like, there was no real reason for interference.
I know why they did it. It's because obviously everyone knows this because Orton put them all on the shelf. But I kind of think that just makes it's getting to a point where if they do that, literally every single title defense, it kind of waters his title reign down a lot, which isn't what we want for Drew McIntyre. Because I must admit, since he's come back from Impact and everywhere else he's been to NXT, to the main roster, he's done well. I have loved him. I loved him as a Scottish psychopath. I like him even more now. I just don't want his title reign that he worked so hard for just to go down the crapper because somebody decided that it would be a great idea to have 5 legends interfere.
I feel like at this point, if Shawn would come out for one more, I feel like Drew and him would really tear down the house. Or even Triple H. I would like to see Triple H come out and, like, him just, like, clashing heads with Drew, and, you know, Drew, like, throwing down the belt, like, putting it between them, daring him to, like, fight him.
Do we think AJ Styles might go back to Raw? Because the reason he was traded to SmackDown was because Paul Heyman did run creative, and he basically was the reason that Gallows and Anderson were fired. So AJ went to SmackDown to try and get away from Heyman, and now where is Heyman now? On SmackDown with Roman Reigns. So the next question would be, could we see AJ Styles jump back to Raw and maybe challenge McIntyre?
I would love that. Drew and him have such unique styles that it would work really well. And you saw what AJ did with Reigns, and AJ will probably kill himself to get you over.
Yeah. And he is actually one of the best heels in the business. I must admit, I do prefer him as a face, but I know of his heel quality. So, with that said, I would like to see AJ move in the draft. The Usos can't really do much because Jimmy's sidelined until next year. So, I think JLN just stay where he is. Depending on how they book Roman Reigns, because they should book him well. I think there was actually, in fact, I've had a notification saying that Roman Reigns is actually having a stable, but we don't know who's in it yet. So what I would like to see is I'd like to see the Uso Penitentiary darkened a little bit from its lighter color now. If I'm not being racist, I'm just simply saying that because Usos and the New Day in that feud they had a couple of years ago was absolutely brilliant, because the Usos were literally like proper heels, whereas now they're kind of like baby faces, but I prefer them to be heels. So if they are indeed in Roman's new stable, that would actually solidify the whole bloodline and them recognizing him as the chief.
Honestly, if they're gonna shake things up, I would like to see Sheamus and Biggie go to Raw, like pretty much.
Sheamus, I can agree with, but do you really think Biggie? I know Biggie on his singles push, but do you really think we're going to trade him away from Xavier and Kofi?
I think it'd be interesting for now. Keep him on Raw until they come back, because like I think he'd be one of the best parts of Raw with everything going on.
Saying that, Drew McIntyre's face, so he's not going to challenge for a title straight away. So you could actually put him into the US title picture against Bobby Lashley, because that would be an interesting clash of styles.
It would be, and all the stuff that they do with Biggie, like he's got the size, power, he's super entertaining. It would complement the way Lashley's a more serious character.
Yeah. But then you would still have the same problem of MVP, Shelton, and Cedric.
Yeah, but it would work out well, because if they can make the feud interesting up until Xavier comes back and Kofi,
Yeah.
or at least Xavier, then we could get like a team Lashley, like the Hurt Business versus like Team Biggie.
Yeah.
And we could get a bunch of guys from 205 and any other place who's hasn't gotten the proper screen time that they need, since they need to desperately build up stars. And could you imagine like Biggie in the corner, like hyping everybody up, doing the stuff that he does, like busting out like the giant thing of popcorn as like his team's whooping guys, and then like they bust out Sheamus on him, and then him and Sheamus are going at it.
Yeah, I would like to see Retribution move to SmackDown, simply because there's so much going on WWE Raw. It kind of makes SmackDown a bit boring, because we've got Raw Underground. I mean, Retribution's there. Drew McIntyre is doing his thing. The Hurt Business is there. It just kind of feels like there's so much going on a Monday night and not really that much on a Friday night. So I would actually welcome a big Retribution move to SmackDown, just to try and get the entire momentum for that stable up, because they've built them up all this way. Retribution themselves have done the world of good on Twitter. It's definitely given me a few laughs, I'll tell you that much. I just don't want to see all the momentum they've done so far just come to nothing, because creative could not make their minds up what they wanted to do.
Honestly, I think Shelton Benjamin could give Drew McIntyre an amazing match.
Should point out Shelton Benjamin is 40, 43, 44 years of age, but you wouldn't think it.
I also would love if they did more with the 24/7 title.
Except for just giving R-Truth, what is it, his 42nd title reign.
Pretty much, like, I kind of wish they would group the Fashion Police again and just like bring them up, and like they're doing the segments hunting for R-Truth, like it goes all black and white and everything, and they're trying to figure out where he is. And we see like R-Truth doing like ridiculous stuff, like being in a disguise, running through like a crowd of people and like shoving them out of the way as they're trying to challenge him for the belt. And like we just had them like investigate around kind of thing, like because like there's so many people that are really entertaining that they could put the focus on, or like move R-Truth to NXT for a bit and just have like ridiculous hunts for it. Because there's so many great talent that they just don't use properly, or they like the 205's pretty much just there, and R-Truth's won the 24/7 belt so many times. Like they talk about how high up they are on him, and even Brock wants to work with him.
Yeah,
and he's just there.
All right. Could we see any NXT call-ups to the main roster? Rumor has it Chelsea Green might be going up. I mean, I still think it's too early for her, because I don't think she's got enough experience in NXT. I would like to see maybe Dakota Kai or Rhea Ripley. I am really a big fan of Rhea Ripley. I would love to see her. I'd love to see her go up. I know she's not been in NXT that long, but you could have her as like a powerhouse rival to Shayna Baszler and maybe even Nia. I don't know if many wrestling fans feel this way, but I would love for Rhea Ripley to kick Nia Jax in the face.
Man, there's so many people I want to see move up from NXT. Like, I'd like to see Johnny Gargano move up.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Io Shirai move up.
To be fair, if Io Shirai has lost the NXT Women's title, she might immediately go up because that's what Keith Lee did. He lost the NXT title to Karrion Kross. Then the next night or the next week, he was on SmackDown, or Raw, sorry. So it's possible. To be honest with you, I don't think Candice LeRae would go very well on Raw. I think Candice LeRae will stay in NXT, and I think wherever she goes, Johnny Gargano will go. I would like to see Tommaso Ciampa move up because him and Randy Orton had a Twitter feud a couple of months ago. So I would like to see that played out.
I would like to see Shotzi Blackheart move up.
I don't really like. It's not that I don't like her. I don't rate her that much.
I think she's got a unique look.
Just so everyone's aware, it's nothing to do with her look. It's just I don't think she's ready, and I'm not really the biggest fan of her. Not compared when you have, say, a Rhea Ripley or Io Shirai, a Candice LeRae or a Dakota Kai or a Tegan Nox when she's fit. Yeah, I think Dakota could go. I know Dakota is probably one of the best heels that there is when she's got stuff to do. I would like to see Dakota move up to the main roster and maybe have a to and fro with Bayley. Say, right, this is how a proper heel should do everything. But we know for a fact that Bayley's losing that SmackDown Women's Championship to Sasha. We know that.
It's coming without a shadow of a doubt.
I think the plan for that is to have like a big three. So say if they have one at Hell in a Cell, they could have another one at, say, Royal Rumble, and then they could top it off at WrestleMania next year. But the only thing is, I want Bayley to lose that belt in the next couple of months because she's set a record for it, fair enough. And it just feels like there's just so many champions with like year-long reigns, and it's just getting a bit boring now. Have Bayley lose it before she becomes a laughingstock.
We don't really get fighting champions all that much anymore.
No.
Like, people talk about being fighting champions, but like, we remember back in the day when we'd see the belts defended more often on the show, and now everything's like a filler most of the time until the pay-per-view.
With John Cena had his US Open challenge every week. I miss stuff like that.
Like, I always talk about this time of Raw, but I love the martial law days of Raw when CM Punk won the world title, and he was fighting guys like every night, like JBL, Snitsky. Yeah,
I miss those days. I would love to see someone have like a DX style tag team who just basically go after everyone. I would love that because I miss those days. I really do. Is there anything else that we need to really say? I mean, to be honest with you, I tell you what, as a final word regarding the draft, I would just like to say, as long as those that are from NXT, if there are any from NXT called up, as long as they are called up for the right reasons, I'd be happy with that. Raw and SmackDown themselves need changing a lot because I think there's just so much wrong with both of them that they can only help each other to heal the other one. But I think everyone listening and watching will probably both know that won't be the case. People will be called up who shouldn't be called up. Those who will move won't, but shouldn't be moved. So we'll just have to see how the draft goes, starting this Friday on SmackDown, in a week tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. This is actually taped on a Sunday. That's why I'm saying a week tomorrow. So, what are your hopes for the draft phase?
I'm honestly hoping we get some title defenses during the draft. It's long overdue, and with the picks on the line, it would be such a high-stakes situation for the champ because you could possibly lose your title and then get drafted somewhere else, which means you're not going to get another shot at it.
Yeah, That's kind of like what happened with The Fiend and Seth Rollins last time, because I think The Fiend was being drafted, and he had to face Seth Rollins. What pay-per-view was it? I know it was in the Hell in a Cell match. I just can't remember what the pay-per-view was, but Fiend won it, and he took the Universal title to SmackDown. Fortunately, the WWE title went the other way, but it's still a case of stuff like that shouldn't happen because it makes it a bit obvious. The minute there's something on the line where a title could move to a different brand, it's a case of, well, that's going to happen with the other one. Any more final words? Because I think that's about me done as far as words go.
Well, I'll do my shameless promotion right now. I am currently making, my friends and I are currently taking our first dive in indie comics. And the art is done by the amazing Ben C. The book will be co-written by myself and our friend Nick Ellis. We have it out. I don't want to say a date just yet because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth if anything happens. So it's a book geared to young adults and kids. If you like the paranormal and you like seeing teams teens and young adults battling it to protect a small town, if you're big on cryptics or ghosts or zombies, then check out Paranormal Patrollers. You can find us on Instagram as Gokai Studios. You can find us on Facebook as Gokai Studios as well. And we'll be releasing sketches and some behind-the-scenes stuff. It's been a fun project to work on with my friends, and we've been loving it. We've been writing nonstop. My friend Ben's been drawing like there's no tomorrow, and we can't wait to show you guys the book.
I've already bagged the first edition, so no one else can have it.
Yeah.
So social media wise, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram on the Bodyslam and Dropkicks. I handle the Twitter feed. I believe Fraser does the Instagram feed and you do the Facebook feed as well, don't you?
Sometimes it depends like who's doing what.
Yeah. But you will find me, I'm the one who does it on Twitter, so you'll find me on Twitter, hopefully trying to get another message from T-Bar from Retribution. Personally, I've got other Twitters and Instagrams. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Final Cut and Final Cut Talk. I'm on Twitter under Final Cut Gaming. Our special guest is here.
Say hi, Helena.
There we go. So where was I? I'm on Facebook as well under Final Cut Reviews.
I still don't know.
And you can find me on Twitter at 5-star wildcard. You can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Michael. And you can find me also on TikTok as Beautiful Michael, where you'll see me post hilarious videos.
You'll never find me on TikTok, so you don't have to worry about that. So, on that, we say thank you very much for listening or watching, depending on what you're actually streaming. And from me, thank you very much, and I will let our host have the final say.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bodyslams and Dropkicks, and we are so thankful for everyone that listens or retweets it. We couldn't do this without you.
The only thing I'd say is goodbye from him and me.
Later.